Welcome, everyone. Here's a book review of The Angel of Death by Carl Nagel, which is published by Starlight Books. Starlight Books has been around for many, many years, and from what I understand, may have even predated Finbar Books, which they seem to be connected to and produce similar type materials, naming on their actual pages of information all of the Finbar articles, including James McCullen, I believe is his name, who actually runs Finbar. And of course, these are very Finbar-like books, since they've been around for so many years. They're pamphlet books. Basically, you could call these booklets. Now, I'm not a person who goes into a lot of detail in terms of page counts, because page counts mean nothing if the information is really good. So this book, which is by Carl Nagel, who is a famous author, has written many, many books of different amounts of value. This goes into, of course, dealing with the actual Angel of Death, which people have been using for years, Ariel. This is an 11-page booklet, just so people know what they're getting. Usually the price is relatively low. I mean, they want $15 for this book, which for a little pamphlet book, I guess that's okay. Books are more expensive. The whole idea is that with a lot of these books, they don't go into any filler. You know, a lot of books go into filler, and this is something that we avoid. The other problem is going from a book that's, 200 pages and 180 of those are filler down to a book that's only 11 pages like this that has no filler whatsoever. I mean, they go right into the rituals, tell you exactly what to do. They give you words of power, which are all pretty much the same. Here, some old, what appears to be Hebrew-type language. And they cover areas of interest, the spiral 7 rings, coven of 1, diabolical names, summon witches, make someone grow old. That's an interesting one. Talk to take away another's luck, to reverse a hex, devil doll ritual, top destroy. I'm assuming that's to destroy an enemy. They've misspelled here. To summon 3 lovers, to bring gold, to make a man impotent, to summon the dead, to compel people to strip naked. All things that we need and can use in our lives, as these are all very practical. As you can see, this is a very dark book. It's there for cursing and hurting people. That's the type of book it is. As far as I'm concerned, that's generally appropriate. There's a lot of scumbucket evil people that deserve to get these things and more given to them. Now, the problem is with just giving people straight out rituals. And these, these are your typical small little booklet that you see. They call it Saddleback stapled in the center. Which basically makes a page into what's considered a half page. And the rituals here fill up about a third of a half of a page. But of course, they could have made them bigger by just making the type better. But the rituals are just to the point. You say this, you use the words of power and so forth. Now, the problem with this, as has always been with Finbar books, is that you just, now Starlight Books, is that is not enough to make things work. You're using pure psychic powers instead of going into trance states, being in the proper mind, having a powerful mind. All this is done by being centered, as stated in my book, and also Occult Gym, which is another book of mine. You have to have the tools to do it. You can have all the book instructions you want if you were going to say go to a boxing match and gee, I read about it 100 times, I looked at all the pictures, but when you get in the ring and start swinging, it's quite a bit different. You need all sorts of skills, not just knowing what to do. Well, hold your hand here, punch. Well, you need to be physically fit. You need to have trained yourself. You need to be highly conditioned. Well, none of these books ever go into that. Going right into the spells is not enough. And of course, this is one of the problems, and I have sold Finbar books for over 20 years and stopped a few years ago. But there wasn't enough energy there. We needed to empower people. They needed to draw energy in before doing that. So I was providing with the books for a period of time extra energy things to draw in. The books themselves, and here we go again, they're standard rituals. Now, these are books that are generally bought by beginners and so forth, and which means that you're going to get very little to no results from them. If you're an intermediate or advanced student, well, and you have these abilities, you're centered, you have a strong connection to the spirit world and understand rituals and have done them, this will, you can use these rituals at a very higher level as pretty much the little how-to cookbook that it is. And that's really what it is. It's a cookbook. They're not telling you, they're telling you exactly what to do, giving you, and of course, one of the problems, there are no, and of course these books are very easy. I'm sure Carl wrote this in probably an hour. So it's very easy to do this by anybody who's advanced. But what they're doing is, they're using the exact same evocation and what seem to be Hebrewic or whatever language that particular is, for every single spell. So you're calling the same entity, which of course you are. You're drawing all this energy from Ariel, the angel of death, and you have to understand that. It's also probably important that you be a little bit careful drawing these kind of negative energies into you and around you, because they could affect your life. Now, the books never get into any of this, and they don't want to get into any practices. They don't want to tell you that you have to use anything, draw anything. But, if you're dealing with these kind of angel of death, there are some precautions that you should have. There are things you should do. You should be cleansing your home probably, or the room you did the evoking in, by burning some banishing and other things. None of this is covered, so you can bring an awful lot of negative energy into your life and then be stuck with it because you're unable to get rid of it. And whether this goes to a particular target that you seek or not is really unknown. One of the problems is when you evoke spirits like this is they grab the person who they can get the easiest because you've opened the door to them. They don't necessarily go to your particular target. So this is very classical and the problems here. So this, like all these books, I mean, there are interesting spells here. He tells you what to do. It's interesting that there are other things than what I just read out. It's kind of odd. They give a listing of contents that seem to be quite different. There's even a petition for better health here to give power over others. A petition for general purposes. But you're just basically stating for these. Here's a particular petition to win a legal action. Select a room where you'll be undisturbed during your petition to Ariel. Now, this is how every single starts off, which obviously is true. Position a cushion or some other kneeling pad in the room where it feels right for you. You're now ready to start. Say the following. I call on thee, mighty Ariel, who stands at every point to assist me. I state my purpose thus. And of course, this is repeat all of it. Ankar Yod He Vol He, I call upon you at my darkest hour to lead me into the light. It is at this very moment that you will visualize Angel Ariel before you. You see him dressed in dark hooded robe. His wings are dark and his feet are bare. When you have the image in your mind clear, say the following in the power of the name Yehovah Elohim and Hadahin. I ask thee to to be by my side during this legal action which is pending. Let your presence sway the decisions of men now and forever. Be thou ruled by me in the name of El Heya and Shaddai El Ka. So mote it be. Now imagine Angel Ariel kneeling down and helping you to your feet. When you are standing, give thanks to Angel Ariel for hearing your call and remove the image from your mind. Due to certain esoteric concepts, it's important that the mind game of Ariel helping you to your feet is played out. You must physically stand up as you imagine Ariel holding your hand in this. So the whole idea is these are, as I said, very much recipes that show you exactly what to do. Now, certainly, if you repeated these things over and over again, there is that certain power. How much gimmicky stuff do you need to get things to work? I'm not a big fan of all those gimmicky stuff. So this is a nice little cookbook. I think it's a little bit naive to think that you're going to connect to the power. You have to be good at visualization. As I said, visualization is part of mind gym practices. It's all part of being centered. So the reason why so much magic doesn't work for people is because they don't have these innate skills. They're not going into a trance state to contact any kind of spirit. And the problem with that is that that's what is required to really connect to the spirit world. It's just not saying words out there and everybody shows up and say, I'm here. It's also a little more complicated than all that's shown here, and you're dealing with some fairly nasty energies here that you have to be careful of. But in general, I mean, I would think that any intermediate or even beginner would enjoy these. Right to the point. This is what everybody wants. Nobody wants 100 pages of introduction. Sometimes that's important and interesting, but this is a very typical, right to the point Finbar book by the relatively famous Carl Nagel.